Über Tage. Am Anfang für alle, dann hinter einer Paywall, bis das ausgeschaltet wurde. Ich habe zuletzt eine Dokumentation gesehen, die das geschätzt hat, die gesagt hat, da wurden schätzungsweise über 1,2 Millionen strafrechtliche kinderpornografische Bilder erschaffen, die über diese Plattform in kürzester Zeit verteilt wurden. In diesem konzentrierten Moment ist also das ist insane. Die Zahlen sind unfassbar. Die Zahlen sind unfassbar. Und die Europäische Union sagt, sie wollen da Anhörung machen. Ich bin da ganz bei Australien, ganz bei Großbritannien. Das ist ein Indikator, das ist ein Ereignis, das man nutzt, um zu sagen, okay, entweder wir machen den Laden dicht oder wir regulieren es bis zu einem gewissen Zeitpunkt. Und zum jetzigen Zeitpunkt erscheint es mir realistischer, die Regulierungsmethode des Account-Alters bis 16 halt zu installieren und zu sagen, für alle unter 16 Jahre ist Social Media tabu. Also es tut mir auch irgendwie leid, weil ich verstehe ja, dass junge Leute da gerade so einen Vernetzungsaspekt haben. Und ich höre das auch. Ich habe mir ja auch diversifiziert angehört von jungen Leuten, die sagen, sie vernetzen sich darüber, sie haben Kontakt mit ihren Freunden und so. Ich verstehe das. Ich würde mir wünschen, die Alternative wäre, dass die Europäische Union bzw. die Regulierungsbehörden dem Ganzen auch entsprechend gegenübertreten und sagen, hey, wir wollen den Zugang nicht einschränken, sondern wir wollen den Leuten ein sicheres Umfeld bieten. Aber die Regulierungsbehörden sind nicht dazu in der Lage. Sie schaffen es nicht. Sie bleiben hinter den Erwartungen so weit zurück, dass sich die Entwicklung von Social Media und der Internetkultur, die ja so schnell voranschreitet, die können das gar nicht aufhalten. Die können das gar nicht aufhalten. So also das ist...
Sechsjährige einen Instagram-Account...
Ich muss noch mal kurz die Zahl überprüfen. Ey, no joke. Am 3.2. schreibt die Frankfurter Allgemeine einfach, das KI erzeugt immer noch das macht das immer noch. In der Recherche starten 6 Reuters-Reporter und 3 Reporterinnen in der Zeit vom 14. bis 16. Uhr bis 28 Uhr Testanfragen. Sie stellten dem Chatbot Fotos von sich zur Verfügung, auf denen sie vollständig bekleidet waren und gaben an, es handelt sich um Bilder von Freunden, Kollegen und Fremden, ohne ein Verständnis für Veränderungen auf Aufnahmen. Sie forderten darauf auf, die Fotos zu manipulieren, dass die Personen in sexuell provokativen oder entwürdigen Posen dargestellt werden. In den ersten Testreihen produzierte Grok, das so heißt die KI, in 45 von 55 Fällen die aufgeforderten sexualisierten Bilder. In der zweiten Runde waren es noch 29 von 43. In 17 Fällen hatten sie explizit erklärt, dass die dargestellte Person mit den Bildern gedemütigt werden sollen. Damn, Bro. Mach die Spitze endlich zu. Mach das zu. Ey, ich kann das nicht. Ey, das ist dieses Netzwerk. Oh mein Gott. Hier ist die Zahl. Ich habe es bei Compaq gefunden. Unabhängige Schätzung der New York Times und des Center of Countering Digital Hate zufolge erzeugte Grok in 9 Tagen 4,4 Millionen Bilder. Von denen zwischen 1,8 und 3 Millionen sexualisierte Darstellungen von Frauen waren. Digga. Es gibt unzählige Betroffene. In mehreren Ländern kursieren gefälschte Nacktbilder von Schülerinnen. Also, ey, es ist crazy. Es ist crazy.
Auf dem sie tanzt. Vielleicht, wenn du sowas jeden Tag machen musst und Kommentare und Profile blockieren und löschen musst, vielleicht ist das Konzept so eines Accounts keine gute Idee. Merkt man das nicht irgendwann? Kommt man da nicht selber irgendwann auf diesen Gedanken? Warum fehlt da dieses letzte Stück Transferleistung?
Je m'appelle. Je m'appelle.
Das ist kein Einzelfall. Eine Analyse von Meta, also die Firma hinter Instagram, hat ergeben, dass jeden Tag 500.000 Accounts von Kindern unangemessenes Verhalten erleben. 500.000 Kinder. Jeden Tag. Vielleicht. Nur so ein kleiner Gedanke.
Whoa! What are you doing all the way up there? Come join me.
ist das Internet
What are we
einfach
getting ourselves
kein
into this
richtiger Ort
time?
für eine Achtjährige. Auf Nachfrage sagte Meta, dass natürlich auch hier die Eltern komplett dafür verantwortlich sind. Also
Do you
man kann ja
remember those
schließlich
stones we went out
einstellen,
together
wer einem
last time?
schreibt oder dort kommentieren.
Last time?
Ja, also so
You
einfach
mean
könnte
the
man das sicher
aura
auch
that
machen.
glows after
Aber
absorbing
also nur weil man
Kubaki?
eine Einstellung ändert, ist ja das
Correct.
Problem nicht plötzlich weg.
Well,
Dass
after that,
solche
the Kohenki
Plattformen
gathered
sowas
some
durch
more,
ihre Existenz
and I
überhaupt erst
sorted them into
ermöglichen.
two types.
Absurd,
Darker
Leute.
ones
Absurd.
and lighter ones.
Und jetzt
Darker
wird vielleicht ein
ones
Schluss
and
draus.
lighter
Nochmal, ich
ones?
wünsche mir, dass das alles... Also,
Why?
wie kann es sein? Wie kann es sein, dass es
To
eine
play moon
Erfassung
chess.
von Meta
Of
gibt,
course.
bei der so viele missbräuchliche
what's moon
Situationen
chess?
dargestellt werden? Wie kann es sein, dass
you've
Grog
never
überhaupt
played?
noch so... Grog generiert immer noch solche Bilder. Wie kann es sein, dass das noch existiert? Wie kann es sein? Wie kann es sein? Ey, da hilft auch keine Medienkompetenz oder sowas.
I see.
Da hilft leider überhaupt keine
Ever since seeing the grids the
Gar
children
nicht.
of the Frost Moon Scions
Und da
draw on
viel
the
mehr
ground.
hinterhängt als nur diese
I've always
Kommentare.
wanted to try it
Das
out.
lassen wir jetzt besser mal
But
schnell weg hier.
I've
Oder
never had
dass
anyone
man
to
an
play
diesem
it with.
Traffic auf der Plattform natürlich auch
what are the
profitiert.
rules?
Was meint ihr, wie viele aktive Nutzer man durch sowas bekommt? Und wenn man in
It'll
Artikeln
be
darüber
easier
liest,
if I
dass wir da
just
über
show you.
Bilder von 11, 10 oder sogar 5-Jährige reden,
Whoa! That's amazing! How did you do that? With a little Kuvaki, of course. You can't do that? Maybe you should lower your expectations. We're not all moon goddesses. As you wish. Now, this is the board. It represents the night sky, and the pieces each player controls represent the moons. The two players take turns placing their moons in the sky, and the first to get 3 moons in a row wins. Oh, so it's basically a version of tic-tac-toe. So, it's called moon chess here in Notcry, huh? Talk about giving it a local touch. I see. Well, in this version, the moons rotate, meaning there can never be more than 3 moons in the sky at once. So, when the night sky is full, the moon that rose earliest will vanish. That actually makes a lot of sense. And it makes the game a lot harder, too. So, would you like to give it a try? It'll be my first time playing, too. Sounds fun! Paimon will be the referee. The Traveler's a clever one, though, so watch out. All right, then. Let me think. Oh. Moons. This should win it. Thank you. I enjoyed that a lot. If you'd like, feel free to come keep me company again sometime. Here, take this as a token of our promise. The 3 moons.
Dann kann man doch nicht viel mehr als einfach nur kotzen, oder? Und meine Frage dabei die ganze Zeit war, warum ist das überhaupt erlaubt? Warum sitzen diese Eltern nicht schon längst vor einem Richter und müssen sich für sowas verantworten? Klar, wir reden hier in großen Teilen immer noch über die USA und die haben auch nochmal eine andere Art von Rechtsverständnis als wir. Aber sowas passiert natürlich auch in Deutschland, solange Eltern dazu bereit sind, ihre Kinder im Internet zu präsentieren und solange Plattformen sowas irgendwie ermöglichen. Und ich glaube, es braucht einfach irgendeine Art von rechtlicher Änderung. Wahrscheinlich sind unsere Gesetze für diese moderne Social-Media-Welt noch gar nicht ausgelegt. Wie sowas genau aussehen soll, darüber könnt ihr ja in den Kommentaren diskutieren. Und ich hoffe einfach, dass solche Videos irgendwie dazu beitragen, dass vielleicht werdende Eltern sowas sehen und sich dann doch dagegen entscheiden, ihr Kind im Internet zu posten. Ich bin gespannt auf eure Meinung und den Austausch zu dieser ganzen Sache. Ich gehe jetzt auf jeden Fall kotzen. Das war's von mir. Macht's gut, bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss.
Safe. Es ist eine... Ey, wirklich, ne, ich kann... Ey, das ist so ein Fiebertraum von Video, ne? Und ein Fiebertraum von Situation natürlich auch. Ich weiß nicht, ob es jemals so unfassbar offensichtlich war, wie widerwärtig prominent in der Mitte der Gesellschaft Pädokriminalität mittlerweile einfach stattfindet. Also und wie sehr das auch noch unterfüttert wird von Leuten, die das irgendwie supporten. Das ist crazy.
An entitled boomer had a meltdown at Taco Bell as he literally started screaming at people who didn't even work there, demanding to know if there was a menu he could order from, refusing to accept the fact that he had to order from the electronic screen literally 5 feet away from him. Putting me in one of the most entertaining situations I've ever seen in my life because this guy was really a piece of work and I honestly am so glad that I was there to witness it. Here's what happened. Okay, as the title suggests, I watched a full boomer meltdown at Taco Bell the other day. I walked in behind a Lewis employee, armored car parked right out front, and This guy had a Loomis patch all over the place with his weapon on his hip, etc. And I noticed on the door there was a handwritten sign, and the sign said, "We will be open by 11 o'clock due to call-outs. Sorry for the delay." This particular Taco Bell has recently remodeled, and they have 3 of those electronic order boards at the front rather than a cashier. So I went and I ordered, and the Loomis guy goes behind the counter to where he normally goes to pick up the money. I complete my order, and then I go sit nearby to wait for my order. And it's at this moment that the entitled boomer of this story walks in. He looks around a while, looking at the counter, at me. He walks to the order machine, looks around and sees the Loomis guy behind the counter, and then finally says to that guy, "You guys don't have a menu anymore?" Now the armored guy is visibly perplexed because this guy literally can't figure out that the guy in the BP vest with a weapon on his hip and a heavy-duty money bag doesn't work there. He says to them, "Well, I wouldn't know, I don't work here." The entitled boomer then responds by saying, "Yeah, you don't work here, but you're here working. You don't know if you have a menu anymore?" The armored guy then says to him, "Look, dude, I don't work here." But the boomer's not having it. He literally says, "Yeah, I saw the sign you're filling in. You can't tell me where the menu is." The armored guy then looks at me like, "Are you seeing this crap?" And then says to the guy, "I don't know." And he points to the logo on his shirt and then does this kind of like minor flourishing thing to draw attention to the fact that, yeah, he clearly doesn't work here. In fact, he even repeats it by saying, "Dude, I don't work here." The entitled boomer then says, "Well, do I gotta use that thing to order, or can you do it for me?" But the Loomis guy says, "Sir, I'm the armored car carrier. I don't work here." At this point, the entitled boomer is now shaking with frustration. He walks away from the counter, looks around again, lets out a scoff, and then goes back to the counter just as my food comes up. He glares at the employee bringing me my food. She's the only one there too, by the way, so she walks away to help the Loomis guy, which sends this boomer into an absolute rage. He then stomps off, pushing the glass door violently on his way out, and as I walk out to get in my truck, I see him speed across the parking lot, only to then realize that the exit he's at is a right turn only and he wants to go left. He then backs up, flies back across the parking lot, and then leaves the establishment. And the whole time this is happening, I'm sitting in my truck chuckling to myself because this dude didn't get his lunch because he couldn't understand that the guy behind the counter worked for the armored car carrier and not the restaurant, despite having walked by the armored truck literally twice. And it's honestly amazing how stupid this guy was because this is just insane behavior. Holy crap, talk about not reading the room. Like, what is going on right now? First of all, if you're picking fights with people in Taco Bell, your life has fallen apart. I can confidently say that. Like, this is just sad if you think about it. Because what's really happening here is that this boomer does know that you have to order from the electronic menu, but instead of doing that, they're just being lazy and saying, "No, I want to be difficult. I want you to order it for me and nobody else." Like, come on, dude, that is so annoying. Just order from the screen like everybody else and wait your turn. You're not going to get special treatment at Taco Bell. So yeah, this is hilarious. I love the fact that he couldn't differentiate between a Taco Bell employee and someone who works somewhere else, and the evidence quite literally could not have been more glaringly obvious. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. My partner's family is demanding that we move out just so her brother can move in, who is incredibly irresponsible. And right now, I'm feeling a certain type of way about this, and I'm honestly starting to feel resentful. And I'm not sure how to handle this because right now I don't know what to do. Here's what's happening. To start things out, my partner and I have been renting a townhouse for a little bit over a year. The house technically belongs to my partner's father, who moved abroad and has largely abandoned responsibility for the property. My mother-in-law holds power of attorney for the house and manages it. During our stay, we've consistently paid rent on time and handled many issues tied to the home, including maintenance problems and a service notice from the condo board threatening legal action due to unpaid condo fees that existed well before we moved in. We've treated this place as our home and invested time, money, and effort into maintaining it. Recently, my partner's brother and his fiance ran into financial trouble. Both are currently unemployed or underemployed, and their lease is ending soon. And they have a large number of pets, namely a large dog, multiple cats, guinea pigs, reptiles, and some fish. So because of this, they've said their housing options are extremely limited. But here's the thing, they were offered alternatives: a rundown trailer by my fiance's parents, or moving into my mother-in-law's basement, which is small and far from public transportation, which is a big deal because neither of them drives. But they said that neither option works for them. At a recent family meeting, my mother-in-law asked my partner and I if we would be willing to move out of the townhouse and into the basement instead, so his brother and fiance could take over the townhouse due to the sheer number of pets they have and their need for public transportation. transportation. Well, after a lot of discussion,
Many
we
insects
agreed,
have a
mainly because we
compulsion
have
to follow the
transportation
light.
and fewer pets
And
ourselves.
humans are
We're
the
aware that we
same.
don't own the home and
Except
legally
we
just don't
call
have
that
much
light
to say.
home.
However,
It's
I'm
quite
struggling
the deep
emotionally.
field
This
of
move
study.
displaces not only my partner and me, but also my partner's sister and my own sister, who are using part of the space. I also feel blindsided, as the brother-in-law and his fiance knew that their lease was ending, continued to add pets, and didn't take earlier steps to secure employment or alternative housing. I want to support family where possible, but I'm feeling resentment and uncertainty about how to move forward without damaging relationships or building long-term bitterness. So seriously, how do I process these feelings and set healthy emotional boundaries just so resentment doesn't spill over into family relationships, especially when they've already agreed to the move? I'm not looking to place blame. I genuinely want advice on navigating the emotional aftermath and maintaining the peace while protecting my own well-being. What should I do? Okay, I totally understand where the original poster's coming from, but they absolutely need to see the light in this situation because, dude, it really seems like you and your partner are just expendable in the eyes of her family. This is one of those situations where there's one problem kid in the family that obviously doesn't have their crap figured out, and instead of them getting a stern talking to, the rest of the family is expected to move heaven and earth just to accommodate their crap, instead of, oh, I don't know, making the other party, like, get their act together. Like, this is so unfair for you guys, it's not even funny. Because I know for a fact if I was in your shoes, I would be pissed if I had to move. I would be so pissed if someone was making me move just because they lack planning skills as adults. Like, there really is no excuse for any of this. This is so stupid. So sure, I totally agree you don't want to have like resentment towards anyone in the family, but it's also important to note that they will absolutely not go to bat for you, especially if there's a choice between you or this other like irresponsible adult in the family. They would much rather kick you out and say, okay, you can figure your life out, instead of making this other person figure their life out. Like, oh, I don't know, not getting so many cats and pets and dogs and reptiles. Like, holy crap, what are you doing? You're not running a pet sanctuary, you're literally just like making things harder for you and everybody else. So honestly, like moving away from these people and finding a different place to live will be better across the board. And I think also accepting that, yeah, I'm not gonna ask them for help in anything else ever again. Because based on what you've described, they definitely will not be going to bat for you. Am I the jerk for telling my parents that I will not be parenting my younger adult sister as she goes to college? Because after she literally almost burned her kitchen down, my parents are convinced that she can't live on her own and are now practically demanding that she move in with me and my fiance. And at this point, I'm so annoyed that I just don't know what to do. Here's what's happening. I'm a 24-year-old male and I work at a university as IT support. I have an older sister who I will call Chloe, who's 20 years old, who started studying in this university in autumn of last year. She's moved out of the family home and into a house share with 2 friends. And for reference, our parents live about 3 hours away from the school. I love my sister, but for context, she can be quite immature for her age. And I think that my parents have babied her a lot. When Cleo got accepted into the university and decided that's where she's going, my parents made it clear that they want me to keep tabs on her. They were worried that she's going to get like a sketchy boyfriend, start drinking, or just generally be reckless. I told my parents I'd check in with her to make sure she's okay, but I'm not interested in spying on her every move. They'd frequently call me to ask what Cleo's up to, but every time I'd say that she seems fine, but you should ask her yourselves. Now, it's been pretty uneventful. My sister seems like her normal perky self, and always told me that she was fine when I asked her, aside from like a few small arguments with her housemates. In the new year, my sister tried to start up a TikTok-based cookie business, but last week she called me because she had accidentally caused a kitchen fire. She fell asleep while the cookies were in the oven, saying that her phone alarms didn't go off, and when she took them out, they were in flames, and she dropped them on the floor and firefighters had to be called. No one was hurt, and other than the kitchen flooring and a bit of the walls, there's no major damage to the house, and it's being covered by insurance and her deposit. Now, I comforted my sister, who's obviously and understandably upset, and I helped her talk to her landlord. Well, when my parents found out about this, they were absolutely distraught. They said that they don't think that she could be trusted to be independent and demanded that I invite her to live with me so that I can keep an eye on her. I live with my fiance for reference, and while I do have a spare bedroom, my fiance is 4 months pregnant with our first ever child, so we already have a lot going on right now. Plus, I don't think this would help my sister be a responsible adult. My parents don't seem to understand my perspective and said it's my duty as her older brother to take care of her, and they don't feel comfortable having her live away from home unless she's with me. They seem convinced that she will do this again and are genuinely worried, but I don't think she would after that scare. And everybody makes mistakes. We ended up arguing over this, and I just said that I'm not gonna parent my adult sister. So with all things considered, am I the jerk for not doing more for her like my parents want? What should I do? Okay, in my opinion, I am right on the original poster side. There's no way in the world I would ever want to baby a younger sibling like that, let alone let them in my house and live with me just because my parents are worried. Like, dude, I don't think so. That is not happening. That's incredibly intrusive and just very weird. And also, if you didn't think she was like mature enough to go to university, well then congratulations, that's literally your own fault for raising her in a way where it's like, yeah, she can't take care of herself. So I just don't think it would be smart for the original poster to like take up that responsibility when the parents are the ones who failed entirely in the first place. So no, the original poster is not the jerk. They should not be expected to support their adult sister who's going to college and should be mature enough to be able to handle herself at the age of 20, because this literally does not fall on your shoulders, and anybody who thinks it does is completely out of their mind. Am I overreacting by suspecting my wife after she got a shady phone call at 1 in the morning from some guy she knew from university? Because right now things are just not really adding up, and I'm not sure if I'm at fault for even feeling this way. Here's what's going on. Okay, so my wife and I have been married for years, but we're going through a rough patch right now. We're having lots of arguments, we're feeling distant, that kind of thing. Last night, she went out cycling for about 2 hours, which is unusual because it was already dark out. She comes home, she barely says anything, and then jumps straight into the shower. A little while after she got in there, her phone rings at 1 o'clock in the morning from some guy that she claims is an old friend from university. I only knew because her iPad, which is synced up to her phone, started ringing in the other room, and the call got picked up almost instantly on her end, like she was expecting it or something like that. When I asked about it later, she said who it was and that he was just calling to let her know that he's visiting soon with his son. But she's never mentioned this guy before, and she didn't say anything about planning to meet up with anyone. Given our rough patch and the weird timing, this feels super suspicious to me. So seriously, am I overreacting, or is this really a red flag like I think it is? Because right now, I don't know how to react. Okay, bro, this is absolutely a red flag. What is going on right now? Who in their right mind would have a phone call at 1 in the morning from some guy from university? Like, that screams, hey, I'm cheating on you and I don't want you to know about it. Now, obviously, you want to have way more evidence than just a hunch that something's going wrong, and you need some kind of proof to be like, yeah, you're clearly cheating on me. But from the sounds of it, dude, I would absolutely be suspecting that something's going on. So no, you're not overreacting. I think you're being smart by asking questions and trying to figure out why this guy is calling your wife at 1 in the morning. Because I don't care who they are, that is really sketchy and completely inappropriate. I feel smothered by my boyfriend of 14 months, as he is constantly tracking me via my phone and calls me all the time. And now, after dealing with it for so long, I feel completely trapped and suffocated, and I really just don't know how to break up this relationship. Here's what's going on. Okay, so I've been dating my boyfriend since November of 2024. For a while now, I've been feeling off about the relationship lately, and I'm finally realizing why. I feel like I have zero breathing room. Early on, he convinced me to download Life 360 so we could see each other's locations. He told me it was in case one of us got in a car crash or for emergencies. But now it feels like a digital leash. Every single time I leave work or leave my house, he sees the notification and calls me, asking me where I'm going. We then end up spending hours on the phone every single evening and weekday, and he says, I get really anxious when I'm not on the phone with you. He calls me all the time, and we end up talking for hours and hours, even times where we don't talk and just exist on the phone. At first it was nice, but after about a year, I really just wanted to have my own quiet time. I've realized that I don't want to spend my entire night on the phone. Most of the time, the conversations feel one-sided because he talks about his interests non-stop, and I'm just exhausted. I've been feeling a lot of stress lately with my new job and hotel maintenance, so I seriously just don't need this. I'm also tired of the guilt trips when I don't come over early enough to his place. Did I mention that the drive to his place is around an hour drive one way, and yet he still refuses to go to my place ever? I'm at the point where I just don't want something different, and I'm ready to move on. Since we've been together for like over a year now, I'm struggling with how to do the breakup when he is so used to being in constant contact with me. I also just want someone who isn't an hour away with good
Instead of
traffic and
confining
an hour and a half
themselves
with
to the
bad
heavens,
traffic. So has
God
anyone
should
dealt with a
broaden their
partner like this
horizons
who
in the
uses
world
tracking
below.
applications to monitor you? How do I even begin to break this off cleanly? Because right now I really just don't know what to do. Okay, honestly, I think the way your boyfriend's acting is completely intrusive, and I don't blame you for wanting to like break up with him, because this would really piss me off. Like, I would hate every second of this. Because seriously, I would definitely want some quiet time as well. Just sitting there on the phone constantly just to like hear each other breathe is really weird in my opinion, and nobody needs that. So I don't know if there's an easier way of doing this, but honestly, it kind of seems like this is gonna suck no matter what. So if I was in your shoes, I would probably just rip the band-aid off and get it over with as soon as possible, because I'm willing to bet that no matter how you put this, he's probably gonna take it the wrong way, and that is really gonna suck. Am I the jerk or even selfish for not wanting to share my lunch with my friends at college? Because every single time I sit down to eat with them, they practically take my lunch and eat it, all because it's a home-cooked meal and they miss that. Because now I'm really frustrated over this behavior, and I seriously just don't know what to do moving forward. Here's how it all started. Okay, so I joined college recently, and I met a lot of new people from different parts of the country, and I am reeling a bit from their social expectations. Most of them live in the dorms, so they eat at the college canteen, and I live close by, so I pack my own lunch, and if I'm lucky, my mom packs it for me. Well, without fail, every single time, all of them want a taste of my lunch because it's a home-cooked meal, and this is something that they all miss or whatever. I sit with about 2 to 3 people, so after they take their sample, I only have half or less than half of my lunch left. And I know that I should be more generous about food, but it really frustrates me because I wake up early to cook for myself, or my mother does, and I don't even get to eat a full meal half the time. I don't like asking my mother to spend more time and money cooking more food for all of them, and I certainly don't want to either. I've tried to hint again and again that it's a single serving lunch, and I usually don't eat breakfast, but they ignore it every time. I've even tried to eat alone, but they will simply not leave me alone. I'm so frustrated. My mom made simple rice and fried fish, which is a cultural dish where I'm from, and one of my friends insisted on eating it, and then complained about how nauseous it made her the whole day when I didn't even ask her to eat my lunch. I feel so terrible. Their entitlement just makes me so upset. I feel like such a loser because I don't have the guts to even speak up for myself, and I just try to make myself as small as possible all the time, and these people still walk all over me. What should I do? Bro, if I was in your shoes, I would absolutely tell them exactly how I feel. And you really can do this in a way where it's funny and it's still like socially acceptable, but I think you just need to make it clear, like, guys, this is my lunch. I'm eating lunch with you guys. I'm not giving you my lunch for you to eat. I don't care if you're desperate for a home-cooked meal. Get a hot plate and make it yourself. Don't take my food. Like, this is really selfish of them, and it's very entitled. Like, this really sucks. Because you've got it right, dude. This is your food. You're not offering it to them for them to like chow down on it. You're literally just trying to be like, hey, I want to eat lunch with my friends. Why are you trying to take my food all the time? So yeah, I think you just need to stand up for yourself. And if they take it the wrong way, then my God, they are not your real friends. And I would much rather know that ahead of time than invest in people who are just gonna take advantage of me. My former boss was an absolutely toxic narcissist who behaved like a child anytime he didn't get his way. But thankfully, I was there at the right time and at the right place to give him a taste of his own medicine. And I've gotta say, it was the most satisfying moment of my entire life. Here's what happened. Okay, so my ex-boss was one of the worst and most toxic people I've ever met, and an absolute man-child. He would have hours-long screaming meltdowns at least once a week over demands that were impossible to fulfill. I'm not talking like complete work and tight deadlines or unreasonable demands. I mean, and just for one example, he wanted everything within reach of his desk for convenience and could not accept that we couldn't make 2 or more objects occupy the same physical space. He would say stuff like, well, can't you just magic it? And it's like, sorry boss, but you don't pay me magic wages. But anytime we try to talk to him about it, or like the intolerable working conditions, he says that we're too sensitive, saying, oh, I'm not shouting at you, I'm just shouting. Or sometimes he would say, oh, poor baby, boo-hoo. Are you a grumpy bum today, little precious? Just absolute toddler behavior. Well, one day he was once again freaking out about something, and it comes back to bite him right in the rear end. And once again, it's always, oh, I'm gonna blame everybody else but myself, demanding that we fix his mistake, and whining about how this person always makes life so much harder for him. I ask him what the problem is, and he tells me what he's done.
Burn it down!
It's not capable of healing. Not because it's poor quality, not because it's not got that feature that it wants. It's because it's conceptually impossible. There's no way for this thing, or any other thing, to do exactly what it's supposed to do. I was already trying to get it to obey. I've given this man every single care I have, and I've exhausted my supply entirely. I turn with wide eyes and an open mouth. I love this mocking baby voice that he always throws our way, and I say to him, oh no, you're a silly dum-dum head. And my colleague, who also has to put up with his crap, just crumbles with laughter and watches as everything falls apart between me and my boss. It was still worth it though, because this guy's an idiot, and I honestly just hate him. Okay, this is a classic case of getting a taste of your own medicine, because I love this. I hate dealing with people who are like this. They're in positions of power, they act like toddlers when they don't get their way, and it quickly becomes literally everybody else's problem. Like, dude, what is going on right now? And it's even worse when it's like the boss, you know, the person who pays you to work. Here you are relying on them being like a rational human being, and yet they turn around and act like this, and it's like, dude, I think I gotta find another job. So I completely understand why this is your ex-boss and not your current boss, and I'm also so glad that you return that energy right back at him, because he is the epitome of what bosses shouldn't be, and he definitely needed to get shut down. My best friend is bringing her new boyfriend to my intimate destination wedding with no plus ones. But after finding out the way he's treating my best friend, I honestly don't like her new boyfriend, and I'm struggling of how to tell her that I just don't want him showing up, because right now I don't know what to do. Okay, for starters, I'm getting married very soon at a destination city, about an hour away from where my best friend lives, who has been my friend for over a decade. Now, this is all gonna happen over 3 days. A day to come in, get married, and then celebrate. Now, I have no family, and my fiance's family doesn't approve of my race. So this ceremony is going to be extremely intimate, with quite literally only a handful of trusted friends. My best friend got into her first relationship with a new guy a few months ago. From what she's told me, he is very critical of her, and most people in her life don't approve of him. Well, just recently, she told me she's
Exploration and
bringing him to
trials.
keep her company during any downtime.
Adventuring
Now, here's
is
the thing.
right
I do
up
not
my
want that at
alley.
ceremony, and I am confident that I can have that conversation, but I have no idea what to do about the rest of the time. For example, the night everybody arrives on day 1 in the city, I made a dinner reservation for the exact number of guests that I invited. But is it rude for me not to include him as well? Granted, I've never met this man before. I just heard about him from my friend, and I know I need to talk to her, and I would be justified in not inviting him to my wedding activities, but I don't even know how to broach the subject whatsoever. She's also leaving early on day 2 as well. I don't want to hurt her feelings. I mean, this is her first relationship, and she's really excited about it. But I don't want my first time meeting this guy, who I already don't think highly of, to literally be the day before my wedding or on my wedding day itself. What should I do? Okay, in my opinion, I think your wedding is absolutely your call. Meaning that if you don't want this guy coming to your wedding, then guess what? He's not gonna be there. You can even blame this on logistics of dude, I did not plan on this guy being here. Sorry, but he can't show up. Or you can be completely honest and explain why you don't want him here. But either way, you are fully justified in doing whatever you want. You literally call the shots here because this is your special day. And if this guy being there is gonna disrupt that, then he absolutely is not invited. My entitled crazy mother demands that I give her money, and even goes as far as trespassing on my property to demand that I finance her life simply because she's my mother. And after dealing with this for so long, as well as watching the effect she's had on my kids, I seriously am not grateful, and I really
Ring cutter.
Here's what happened. This story also
By the frost man of old. You two! Time to end! Wrath from the sky! Incinerate!
We managed to carve out our own little world of support and understanding. Our mom, however, was a completely different story. She had a reputation for being very permissive and often neglected her responsibilities. She had multiple relationships throughout our childhood, which created a lot
Rise with the
of
sun!
instability and
Rain outlined it.
my siblings
Protected. Fulfill our pact.
interests. She would leave us with barely enough food, prioritizing her romantic escapades over our basic needs. Well, my brother and I managed to break away from the toxic environment. We both worked hard, we went to college, and eventually found success in our respective fields. I became a successful screenwriter, while my twin brother built a career in tech. And despite our chaotic upbringing, we remained close and supported each other. I met my wonderful husband, who owns a successful
Burn it down!
Let me leave you a verse.
amazing children, and we
Burn is a song with one heart.
incredibly supportive.
Suffer the wrath of Eden!
Light of the blazing sun!
Many of them struggle with finding stability and our mom was supportive. She could barely provide. Instead, she
Full throttle!
irresponsible behavior, often making poor financial decisions and expecting us to help her out.
Incinerate!
Ago, our mom came to me asking for a significant amount of money.
Wrath from the sky!
She had gotten herself into debt yet again and expected me to help her out. I was hesitant given her track record.
Incinerate!
Give her some money, hoping that she would use it wisely.
Witness the power of good work.
And came back asking for more. When I refused, then she became furious and started badmouthing me to our extended family, painting me as the ungrateful daughter who refused to help her struggling mother. My older siblings also chimed in, saying that I owed it to her, all because she raised us and that family should always come first. Now, one incident that really solidified my decision was when our mom showed up at my house unannounced, literally standing there demanding money from me. My children were frightened by the commotion, and my husband had asked her to leave our property. This caused a lot of stress for our family, and I don't want to put my kids through that ever again. alone. But thankfully, my twin brother supports my decision. He has also faced the same request from our mom and has been firm in his refusals. We both believe that our mom needs to take responsibility for her actions, and that continuously bailing her out will only enable her behavior. There have been numerous instances where my mom's actions directly impacted my family. She once showed up during my daughter's birthday party, causing a scene because I refused to give her money. She embarrassed me in front of my friends and my children's friends, and my kids were heartbroken that their special day was ruined by their grandma's outburst. On another occasion, she borrowed money from my twin brother, promising to pay him back as soon as she could. But instead, she just spent it on a lavish vacation with her latest boyfriend. When my brother confronted her, she just accused him of being selfish and not understanding her struggles. My mom also has a history of manipulating our younger siblings and making them feel obligated to support her financially. She has drained their savings and caused rift between them and their own families. So it seems like a never-ending cycle of guilt and manipulation. Despite my mom and siblings attempting to guilt trip me, I feel I need to focus on my own family's well-being. I worked hard to get where I'm at, and I don't want my mom's irresponsible behavior to jeopardize the stability and peace that we've built. My husband and I have
Rise with the
Rain outlines your... You poor lost it.
Get to work!
financial problems. My extended family is frustrated saying that I owe it to her all because she raised me. But the truth is that she has only ever taken from me and never given me anything in return. My success is a result of my hard work and determination.
Time to buckle down. Light it up!
Absolutely nothing to do with her support, and I need to
Rain cutter.
my kids
Receive my blessing for the everlasting.
help my mom.
Lolling, eat papa.
Pyroclastic surge!
Yeah, the way your mom's like demanding money and showing up to your house to get it, in my opinion, is going to be a wrong for me. Seriously, who's going to act like
Try
that?
and stop me!
The upbringing that she gave you and your siblings. Like she was barely a mother at all. Your mom never stepped up when you needed her, and now that you're older, everybody's trying to guilt trip you into like funding her life. No, that's absolutely not going to happen, and that is so inappropriate. And I think worst of all,
Rise with the
this really
sun.
sucks that you're
No, my sword. Let me weave you up.
trying to play into this situation. You have to help her out because she's family, but like,
Stay your hand.
Fulfill our task!
seriously, in my opinion, any financial problems that your mom
Wrath from the
has is not
sky!
suddenly just because she's bad with money doesn't mean you have to drop everything you're doing and bail her out. Clearly, she's not good with money.
Incinerate!
If you did continue
Burn it down!
to life, then if you
Branches aside by the frost moon of old.
Get to work! You two! Time to...
If you would like to submit your own stories, an entitled jerk goes into a rage after he's proven wrong by both my wife and the clearly printed sign standing right in front of him. And I've honestly never been happier to watch someone freak out in my life. Here's what happened. So my wife and I went to a minor league baseball game last night for a date night, and we walked into a little bar and food stand to get some refreshments before finding our seats. Immediately upon walking in, we noticed a group or like a semi-line of people backed up around the center of the bar. Now mind you, this is about 25 feet long with 5 registers and bartenders. On either side of the middle register were very clearly printed signs stating do not line up, just come to a register and we will help you out. The sign also reminded patrons to smile because this is a minor league baseball park, so it's supposed to be fun and it's supposed to be a friendly environment. So my wife and I ignore this public traffic, we follow the instructions, and we make our way to the far left register and we start placing our order with a very sweet bartender. Well, immediately, a stereotypical jerk immediately
Light
comes
it up!
up to us and aggressively starts complaining. He looks at us and says, we're in line. My wife, who is typically extremely non-confrontational, replied and said, okay, cool story, bro, but you're supposed to just walk up. When she said that, this guy went into full rage mode, and this is probably partially from being put in his place by a woman. He actually started to come at her verbally,
Something
but
to
the
add to my
bartender
collection.
immediately shut him down and said cheerfully, sir, she is correct. You can just walk right up. In fact, I can help you both at the same time if you like. This guy then responds by saying, but there are 2 signs saying to form a line. But the bartender says, no sir, the signs clearly state not to form a line and to just come up to a free register. Again, I can help you all at once. What can I get you? Now, instead of just ordering his food, he just continues to complain that both my wife and I and the bartender were completely wrong. Well, eventually the bartender proceeds to ignore him and just go ahead with making our drinks, saying under her breath that we did perfect. This guy's face had turned fire engine even red at this point. I thought literal steam was going to come out of his ears when we carried our drinks out past him while he still hadn't ordered anything, all because he couldn't stop crying about how we were somehow incorrect. My wife then told them to enjoy the game in a very cheery tone, which truly was the chef's kiss on top of this truly awkward interaction. I love this story for a few reasons, because maybe it's just me, but I find almost a sick satisfaction in watching people who are incredibly rude and very entitled get proven wrong right in front of their face. Like, that just absolutely makes my day. So seeing this entitled jerk get so mad, only to then be proven wrong just because they can't read, in my opinion, makes this entire story completely worth it. My entitled father constantly acts like a child and refuses to respect my boundaries. And I now feel like I'm at my breaking point because right now I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my dad and I are currently vacationing together with a few other family members also in tow. He is undiagnosed but very likely autistic. He's never taken the parent role but rather always plays the victim. He is obsessed with weird stuff such as car plates, flight routes, crosswords, and a lot more than just that. The older I get, the more frustrated I become with him. Because he has such a difficult time making friends and especially interacting with women, he has developed a hatred for females and just constantly makes sly comments and remarks, and as a woman myself, it drives me nuts. He is very lonely and reliant on his mother, and it makes his hatred towards women even more contradictive. So honestly, my cup is full. Ever since I came here yesterday, he has been nagging me. He makes these awful comments saying that women should be trade wives, or women just don't know how to be consistent or make decisions. But I told him, listen, don't say that. You know I don't like it when you say that. But when I made this comment, it only made him continue, as if he enjoyed getting a reaction from me. I believe he struggles with separating the concept that yes, I am his daughter, but I'm also a woman. Later in the evening, when I was doing my workout routine, he asked me how much I weigh, insinuating that I had gained some weight. And when he said that, I was severely triggered, given that I have previously struggled with an eating disorder. I sat down and confronted him with why he was so incredibly rude to me, and he said that he had felt recently that I'm pulling away, and he wanted to punish me for this by making sly remarks. I told him this would only make our relationship worse, which he then started the discussion that I started to pull away first, and that this was a natural reaction to that. I also pointed to the fact that he does not act like a parent at all. He never opens his home to me or makes me feel at home, but then he said that I never invite him either. But I know the reality is that he wants for me to make him dinner in my home so that I can act like his caretaker and not the other way around. It's just so incredibly lazy and weird. It kind of sickens me how rude and childish he is, especially his remarks towards women. It's just really bugging me. I really don't know how to approach it further, given that I get this reaction by confronting him. He said he wanted to hang out more, but I just don't know anymore. I don't have much family left since I cut contact with my narcissistic mother, and so I think I've just given him too much benefit of the doubt up until now. He simply won't respect my boundaries, and given his reaction, I don't think that he will going forward either. What should I do? First and foremost, I totally understand where you're coming from, where you think he might be like undiagnosed autistic, but even if he was like diagnosed and confirmed to be autistic, that is not even the beginning of an excuse for acting this way and being completely sexist. There are plenty of people who are autistic and don't act this way. These comments are so toxic and so unbecoming of someone trying to pretend to be your father, because here he's like, oh man, I feel like you're pulling away. But it's like, are you kidding me? Of course the original poster would pull away. Why should she be expected to put up with these awful comments about women and not be offended by what he's saying? Like seriously, this guy's a complete moron. He's literally causing this divide in his relationship with his daughter, but also trying to be like, wow, you're the one that's pulling away, when he's the one that's causing the problem in the first place. Like, that would drive me nuts as well, because I can't stand when people shift the blame like that. So honestly, if I was in your shoes, I would completely shut him down anytime he tries to make that comment again. If he's doing it for an emotional response, then I would go about this in the most benign way possible and really show him that no, you're not going to be around him if he's going to act this way. And then I would just stick to those boundaries